Welcome to this episode of the Happy Teaching Podcast. We are going to talk today all about noise levels and what to do if your class just feels so loud. Now, I'm sure you can relate to this. We've probably all been there. So, number one, I want you to know you are not alone. Noise level, especially in pre-K and kindergarten, when we have larger class sizes or even small ones, it can be a really hard thing to manage. And it can raise stress levels a little bit when we look around and it feels like everyone is shouting or there's chaos or your ears are ringing. And it can feel like, oh my goodness, how do I get them to be quieter? How do I get them to stop shouting? So we're going to talk through some strategies, but first we're going to start with kind of why this happens, and then we'll work into what are some things we can do about it. So number one, you might be thinking, well, who cares why it happens? Make it stop. But I do want you to know that it is normal that kids are going to be a little bit louder when they're excited or they're going to be curious about their environment. And you're not really doing anything wrong if your class is a little bit loud. You're probably not alone. The fact that there's an episode about this means you aren't alone. This is a very common thing, probably in lots of grade levels. I've taught up through third grade and they would get really loud too. Middle school, high school, they're probably getting loud too. It happens when we have large quantities of people in the same space. It also is a good opportunity for us. This is another thing I say often. You might have heard me say this, but when your class is too loud or you're perceiving them as being too loud, something I do like to do to myself is ask myself, is this a problem or is it just bothering me? So I'm going to repeat that because this is a question that will help you in so many areas of teaching. Is this really a problem or is it just bothering me? Sometimes it was really a problem. I'm like, okay, they are shrieking, like they're not even engaged. Like this is not, we need to stop this. Other times I'm a little bit more noise sensitive and I know that about myself. And sometimes it is okay if you just want them to quiet down. And maybe it is just you and you just want them to quiet down. That's still a valid reason. But sometimes I was able to look around and see that my kids were really engaged. They were playing. They actually weren't bothering any other classrooms. They weren't bothering each other. It was more just my perception of, it feels loud. And in those times, I might let it go a little more. So that question can be really powerful. But we know there are going to be times that it's just loud and it needs to stop. Another reason that things can sometimes get loud in the classroom and it feels like, yes, it's developmentally normal, but it can feel like, gosh, I'm always having this problem. I can deal with other areas of classroom management, but my classroom is just so loud. This happens because I've been here too. So I'm not calling anyone out. I'm calling myself out here too. This is an area where it's very easy to get into over reminding. What I mean by that is it's very easy to, turn the light off and go, okay, we've got to quiet down. And then they get loud again. And then we turn the light off or we clap our hands or we do whatever. You guys, it's too loud in here. You need to quiet down. Then they go back to being loud and we keep reminding them without actually doing anything about it. I'm very guilty of that. I see it happen a lot. And I think it's just because we're in the day, we're in the, the day-to-day things and we're trying to keep things moving that it's just a little harder to follow through on this than other related consequences or things we might do. So we'll talk through that as well. But those are some reasons why it can happen. So now what can we do about it? Number one, we can't assume. I feel like I've said number one a lot for very different things here. So just don't mind my counting skills. I don't know what number we're on of anything. But anyway, first off, when it comes to how we can help students with this, we can't assume that kids actually know what quiet down means, because in some homes, quiet down might still be like, oh, well, there's, 6 kids in here and I am being quiet according to my house. Or maybe they haven't been in a school setting. They actually don't know what kind of voice they're supposed to use. So even though we might assume, well, surely they know what it means to be quiet, they might not actually understand the difference between, okay, be quiet like silent or just shout. There are different voice levels. So I love to teach kids a song, and I'll go ahead and sing it for you now on this episode as well. If you want to give it a try, we practice voice levels just like you practice any other routine. You want to practice, how do you speak in the classroom? How do you speak in a library? How do you speak outside? How do you speak at an assembly or really anywhere they're going to go? Lunchroom, you can add things in. So it goes like this. When we're in our classroom, what voice do we use? Classroom voice, classroom voice. When we're in our classroom, what voice do we use? We use our classroom voices. And you're going to sing that in a classroom voice, so a regular speaking voice. Now you might try something like, when we're on the playground, what voice do we use? Outside voice, outside voice. When we're on the playground, what voice do we use? We use our outside voices. And I'm like mimicking shouting there, but you can actually, I recommend letting them shout for that one sentence, letting them be loud to feel the difference and talk about how does that sound nice when we're on the carpet? No. So we save it for outside. You could also add, when we're in the library, what voice do we use? Whisper voice, whisper voice. When we're in the library, excuse me, what voice do we use? We use our whisper voices. As you can see, songs make things seem more real to kids. And as you can also see, as I'm, coughing my way through the song practically, you don't have to be a very good singer. You just show them the song. They will pick up on it faster. Music is really, really helpful. And if you're in the Print and Play Club, you can go to the playlist, click on routine rhythms, and we've got all kinds of songs in there for you that will really help you out with teaching routines or reviewing routines and classroom management techniques with your students. All right, so you've taught them the song, right? You've practiced this. They know what voice levels are. Now comes the time to actually hold them accountable to it, right? You're going to practice it and you're going to remind them, okay, we're going out into our classroom to work. What kinds of voices should we be using? Classroom voice. We're going out to play, classroom voice. Or we're going to recess, outside voice. Hold them to it. So if they're working in the classroom or they're playing and it gets really loud, you might do your signal of ringing the chimes or turning off the light or whatever you do to get their attention. Now's the time to let them know what's going to happen if they are still continuing to shout. I notice we are shouting. If we continue to shout, we are going to clean up early. You need to say something here that is feasible, that you can actually realistically do. And then you need to follow through, even though it's very annoying because you don't want to have to clean everyone up. But if you don't follow through and you just keep warning them, they learn very quickly that nothing's going to happen and they can continue to shout. And yeah, they might have to sit in the dark for a minute, but nothing really ever happens. So when they shout again, which they will, getting their attention, oh, I'm sorry, I remember what we said. If we shout again, we have to clean up. So go ahead and clean up. Okay, and then when they go back out again, we're reminding them, what happened last time when we were playing? Oh, we were shouting, we had to clean up. Okay, and get them set up ahead of time. Remind them of those consequences before they go out. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what if it's just a few students? So if it's just a few students, you're going to really work on related consequences with those students. If it's everyone, then yes, we're going to practice routines again, and we might all have to clean up. If it's just a few students, we're not going to have everyone do this. We might work with them individually. Another thing I like to ask myself, I've probably said it in other episodes, is reminding myself, if it's a whole class issue or over half the class is struggling, then I need to reteach something. This is a routine that's fallen off the way or something's wrong. I need to reteach it. If it's a few students, I can work with them individually. Another thing I never did this, but I wanted to add it here as a strategy in case you want to give it a try, is some teachers have done things like setting expectations with signs or visuals, and visuals can be great for helping students understand like, oh, this is what I'm doing right now. So they have things like, oh, if red is up, like a red sign or a stop sign, it's silent time, they're quiet, or yellow is whispering. Green is a talking voice, like an inside voice. So almost like a traffic light system. And some teachers love that. So I also recommend possibly giving that a try up on your board, pointing to students so they remember what kind of voice, or putting a clip next to it or something, a magnet, so they know what kind of voice they're using right now. And when students are doing what's expected, when they are using an inside voice, don't forget to acknowledge when they're doing something correctly. And I forget this a lot too. We get going in our day, and so then when they're shouting, they hear, oh, you're too loud, stop. But then when they actually are using a great volume, sometimes we forget to encourage that. Oh my goodness, I love the volume in here right now. This is wonderful, thank you. And giving them that positive feedback as well and being consistent with that. So even though it might be normal, your classroom does not have to be chaotic. It can be calm. It can be peaceful. Give these songs, tools, strategies a try. Remember to be consistent. Be consistent And listen to our other episodes as well. I believe we have one about related consequences that might help you when you're working with other management struggles. We have a lot of episodes that we're continually building up, so check out our podcast library. And if you are in the Print and Play Club, be sure to check out our visuals, our attention getters, and other things to help you with management. I'll put a link below for you to grab an invitation if you haven't joined us yet. And I'll see you in the next episode of Happy Teaching. And of course, happy teaching.